Good morning. Let's start. What's going on? You ready to go? I think I should give like a 5-minute coffee break. Go downstairs, grab your coffee, and come back upstairs, and we're ready to roll. You know what I'm saying? All right. We are on page 50, Pasuk Chav Gimel. It's actually a great pasuk because it really captures in essence what Mishlei is all about. The pasuk goes like this. It goes as follows. Page 50. Teshuvu letochachti hinei yibai lechem ruchi odia devarai etchem. Which really means in English, return to my rebuke. Behold, I will pour out my spirit to you. I will make my words known to you. Now, this pasuk is really the turning point for Mishlei, not just in the chapter, but the entire story of our relationship with HaKadosh Baruch Hu. After pages of warning, right, we had all these warnings that Shlomo Melech brought. After seeing how stubborn humanity and how it ignores, the wisdom's cry in the street, the tone here suddenly shifts completely, and it's the voice of Chokhmah, the voice of HaKadosh Baruch Hu's truth. That it doesn't condemn, it doesn't give up on you, it just calls you to come home, right? The pasuk says Toshavu letochachti, which means return to my rebuke. Now HaKadosh Baruch Hu says, even if all you can do right now is listen to my rebuke, to admit that maybe, just maybe, right, you've been going the wrong way, that's already teshuvah. I quoted this last time. There's a Gemara in Kedushin that says, Haret mekudeshet li betabat zu, haret mekudeshet li betnesh ani tzadik. There's a Rasha, a guy who's completely, Rasha goes to, he's being Mekadesh's wife, and he says that you're married to me on condition that I'm a tzadik. The Gemara says mekudeshet, and the rabbis and the Chachamim ask, what does it mean mekudeshet? How's that possible that she's mekudeshet? On condition that I'm a tzadik, the guy's a Rasha. How could you be? How's that? Imagine I'm saying, you're married to me on condition that I'm a millionaire. I have no money to be a millionaire. Right. So imagine the guy saying, he's a Rasha, saying on condition that I'm a tzaddik. And the rabbis over there say that maybe he had a hirhur teshuvah, which is a thought of teshuvah that ultimately made him forgiven, which means he's a tzaddik right there. Right. So he's saying here that you don't have to fix everything really in one night. You don't have to become someone new. You just have to turn right away to the right direction. Why are you smiling?
Wait, why is he a tzaddik? I'm confused.
Because he had a thought process of doing teshuvah.
Yeah, thought
he's
saying, I'm going to marry you because I'm a millionaire. And
I'm a tzaddik. He's saying, I'm marrying you on condition I'm a tzaddik.
Okay.
And he's a Rasha. Okay. The rabbi says she's mekudeshet. Why? Okay. Because he could be, the rabbi says he probably had a thought process in his mind that he wants to do teshuvah and he's becoming a tzaddik, which is a powerful thing.
Yeah.
The fact that you just make that
a mere thought.
Just a mere thought could go a long way.
Okay, I love that.
Now, that's really the miracle of teshuvah. It begins not with perfection, but with honesty with yourself. To understand, it starts with an idea. I want to turn. I want to change. Teshuvah doesn't just mean perfecting. It doesn't mean perfecting. It means return, lashuv, to return to your old youth. Who you really are, what your really neshama wants to. And Rashi actually explains this powerfully. He says, "Im tekablu tochtachti ibayle ruchi," which means if you accept my rebuke, I will pour upon you my spirit. The condition is not if you become righteous, or it's not if you fix all your mistakes, it's if you accept what you're doing is wrong. The number one goal to perfecting ourselves is to understand what we're doing wrong in order to be able to perfect ourselves. Because if you don't know what you're doing wrong, you can never change. You go your whole life doing the same thing over and over and over again, and you tell yourself, the Gemara talks about this all the time, something called mora heter. I'm sure you know this, right? Mora heter? Mora heter, the concept that you tell something in your brain and you start telling yourself how it's normal, and you keep doing it, and it just becomes kal be'enecha, the Gemara says, right? That's what he's saying. You're saying that if you understand what you're doing is wrong, that's ultimately be able to fix it. And notice that the Torah here doesn't say, I will give, it says, ibai, I will pour forth. Now, it's not just a drop, it's a flood that HaKadosh Baruch Hu is telling us that Hashem doesn't give small things. When you decide to change, He goes all in. That's what the pasuk says. The Midrash says, "Pitchu li petach shel machat, pitchu li petach kechuto shel machat, v'ani iftach lachem petach kepachto shel olam," which means the Midrash says, "Open me a opening the size of a needle's eye, and I'll open for you opening like the entrance of a great hall that it could bring in chariots." Now that's exactly this pasuk. That teshuvah is not about human strength; it's about the divine mercy that HaKadosh Baruch Hu gives us. Hashem is not waiting to punish us. People think He's always waiting to punish. He's waiting to pour the shefa onto us. We have to be able to accept that shefa. Now the Malbim explains that HaKadosh Baruch Hu promises two profound gifts to people who turn back to teshuvah. Number one is ruchi, not rochi, ruchi. which is my spirit, right? This is the gift of the inspiration that HaKadosh Baruch Hu gives us. It's that the inner light that awakens really within us when we realign with the truth, with the emet. It's not just forgiveness, it's aliveness. I said this yesterday, my Rabbi says you have to feel alive, you can't survive, you have to live. What's living? Living doesn't mean breathing, living means living life, appreciating life, making moves with your life, not sitting at home and scrolling through TikTok the whole day or through whatever social media the guy is on, And teshuvah really rekindles this neshama. The neshama, it brings back the joy, the energy, and the meaning within life. The person who returns to HaKadosh Baruch Hu really feels HaKadosh Baruch Hu breathing through him, right? Right? God breathed within us a breath of Him, which means we're part of Him. That's number one, which is ruchi. God gives us that spirit when we feel. The next one is devarai, which is my words. Once the heart is open, the mind flows, which means that HaKadosh Baruch Hu is telling us that I'll make my words known to you, that the Torah begins to speak to you directly. When you do teshuvah, you feel like you're much more connected. I said this during COVID. There was a study that most depressed people in COVID, they asked why you're depressed, and they all said that the study was that they weren't connected to a religion. I'm not talking about Judaism per se, I'm talking about a religion. And the psychologists and the therapists were looking, what does that mean that they're not connected to a religion? They said that the reason why they didn't feel happy is because they felt that they have no purpose in their life. They're not doing anything, they're doing the same thing over and over and over again, and there's no purpose. Whereas a Jew, our goal is to get ultimately higher. And everything around us enables us to get higher. We have to grab all these things around us to help us get higher, right?
I feel like we also saw like a good meeting in COVID. Like we made the good out of it. Like
right,
every
yeah.
bad.
I'll be honest with me, I literally locked myself up in the Bet Midrash. I was finishing my sechta left and right. I just had nothing else to do.
Yeah.
So people, it's funny because people took it either complete the opposite way. They either watch movies the whole day. I had a lot of my friends who just thought they just were in the Bet Midrash the whole day. So you have to choose what, That's what I'm saying. HaKadosh Baruch Hu gives us all these challenges in our lives. We could either choose it to go right or to go left. The Rambam says that each midah that HaKadosh Baruch Hu gives us, we could choose what we want to do with it. For example, a person who loves blood could either be a murderer or be a shochet or a moel. Right? You have that love for blood. You have that midah to love honor. So you could either do honor with good or do honor with bad. You love being arrogant. You could either be arrogant in a nasty way, you could be arrogant with the divrei Torah, in the words of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Right, which is spreading spreading the truth. We all have this, and we have to choose what we want within ourselves. And teshuvah doesn't mean erase the sin; it transforms this darkness into light. The Rambam writes in Hilchot Teshuvah, he says, yesterday he was despised by God, he was distant, but today he's beloved, he's desirable, he's close, and he's a friend to God. When someone does teshuvah, that same person, he's the same person, but just he has a new neshama, a new spirit within him when he does the teshuvah. The Zohar says, Kad barnash etar b'teshuvah atar ruchi d'eliyah, which means when a person awakens to teshuvah, then a divine spirit awakens from above. When someone awakens for teshuvah down below, a divine spirit comes from above. Meaning every act of teshuvah really triggers this heavenly awakening. When you stir your heart even a little bit, when you say HaKadosh Baruch Hu, I want to be better, I'm trying, I'm not giving up. Every day I'm struggling, but I'm still moving forward. That very desire creates movement in Olam Elionot, in the upper worlds. And Hashem's spirit begins to flow within you, into you again. And you don't have to climb to the heaven. Heaven really comes to meet you down here, to do this together. And that's what the Pasuk says, Hine, Hibai lechem ruchi, behold, I will pour out my heart, spirit onto you. It's not future tense, it's immediate right now. The moment you turn, that's when HaKadosh Baruch Hu starts to pour the shefa onto you. And there's multiple stories of people who, they decide to turn and their lives just changed instantly. Things happened, and we just have to open our eyes sometimes. Sometimes, we get so carried away with what goes on. We expect immediate results. But sometimes I think if you just open your eyes around the world, you realize how you have so much beracha. We just have to, grab that beracha. We look at our friends. We're comparing ourselves to our friends. It's the worst thing to do, because what HaKadosh Baruch Hu gave him doesn't mean you need that. It says yesterday, 2 days ago, Shasali kol tzorki. We when we make the bracha in the morning, we say Shasali kol tzorki, which God has given me all my needs. We don't say Shasali ma shani rotzeh, all my wants. God is giving you what you need. The problem is today we take our wants and make that entire needs. That's completely the opposite. We have what we need. Everything we want is extra. The fact that we have what we need means we have to thank God for what we have, right? And we live in a generation really with overflowing with stimulation, with constant movement and a constant distraction, and endless voice pulling us in every single other direction. Everyone is calling us to chase something, to chase success, to chase, comfort, to chase approval, to chase pleasure. But Chokhmah, HaKadosh Baruch Hu gave us this Chokhmah, still calls us and tells us, don't drown in the noise, don't silence your neshama, come back to your inner voice, which is your neshama, right? And that's that inner voice, that whisper of understanding, that quiet yearning for meaning within our life, to understand what we really want. And it's not outside of you, it's inside of you. It's calling every single day. And every Jew has that spark. In Yiddish they call it the Pintalayid. I don't know if you ever heard this. The Pintalayid is that the Jewish spark never dies. No matter how far we go, Teshuvah is really the art of listening to it again, of returning to that call, that voice that's calling out to you, and saying that HaKadosh Baruch Hu, I remember you. And HaKadosh Baruch Hu is promising to us that if you turn towards me, I will pour, like this pasuk says, I will pour my spirit into you, and I will make my words known to you. Which means we have to make that step, and B'ezrat Hashem from there, we'll move on. And Mala B'ezrat Hashem. Have a great day, guys.